Today we're up at North Merritt Island. We're looking specifically at the flood control features that we have put in place for the North Merritt Island drainage area between Hall Road and the Pine Island Conservation Area, and principally east of Courtney or State Road 3. At the Hall Road location, you'll see 3 pumps. One of them is a large 24-inch portable pump, and we also have a smaller 12-inch portable pump. The 12-inch pump floats on the water surface. The 24-inch pump actually is submerged below the water surface and runs off of hydraulic fluid, or the pump itself runs from hydraulic fluid that's pumped by an engine that drives an impeller that sucks the water up and through, and it's the large yellow machine that you'll see here. The green machine and the pontoon-looking floating device, that's the 12-inch portable pump. We don't always have these located here because we only put them here when we are expecting flood conditions or have flooded conditions. We also have a mosquito control pump, which is located at this facility or this location, and it pumps water principally during the year for mosquito control purposes, putting water into a large mosquito impoundment. When we're running for flood control purposes, we run all 3 of these pumps in an effort to try to put water into the impoundment as fast as we can while drawing water out of the Hall Road vicinity. What this does is it pulls water from the north all the way down to this pump station on Hall Road. It principally comes through what is really known as the Judson Road ditch or canal, which connects all the way up to the Pine Island Conservation Area. And so it's one continuous water body, if you will. So the pumps at Pine Island and the pumps at Hall Road are all drawing water from the same location. So at different times, depending on where water is the highest, water will flow to the south principally or to the north principally, depending on the specific conditions that we have. We have flashboard systems that are located at each of these locations, and they are intended to hold water back or allow water to flow, and we'll see some of those as we go through this presentation. And the purpose of what we're trying to do here today is to try to help the public understand more about how this system works and why we operate it. I should tell you that the principal purpose of this is flood control and trying to keep water out of houses. We know that water in yards is annoying and it causes problems with septic systems as well, but our real goal is to try to get them out of the houses, get the water out of the houses or keep it out of the houses. We have staff gauges located throughout the system which help us understand what the water levels are and how much we're lowering the water each day as we go through a flood event. But prior to a flood event, we try to lower it as well by operating pumps, usually for at least 2 days before a major event, more if we can manage to make that happen with all the other efforts that we have going on. One of the things that's important to understand about the entire system on North Merritt Island that we operate for flood control is that it does require a lot of maintenance. Water levels are changing constantly in the lagoon as well as inside of the North Merritt Island area. That requires us to adjust the flashboards in order to keep the lagoon from flowing into the system when we want it to get out, or to let it flow by gravity out when the lagoon is low enough to allow the gravity flow. So that's just one aspect of it. But even more importantly, we have maintenance that we have to do on the pumps. They have to have hydraulic fluid changed, the oil for the engines have to be changed, fuel is required, sometimes fuel filters have to be replaced, they require servicing. We sometimes have to clean the pump heads of debris that clogs them up, so that we have to shut things down for a period of time while we try to fix those things and provide that service. Occasionally we'll have a part that breaks down, and today we saw where one of our pumps is down and it's being repaired, and we expect to have it up in service with only probably about maybe 3 to 4 hours of downtime and have it up and running again. So we have mechanics that are here to operate it. We've got men that know and have been trained on how to make the adjustments that are needed. When the water gets low enough, we get cavitation. If we run too much pumping and we have to reduce that, some people want us to go ahead and keep running, but we just can't do that without endangering the pumps and potentially ruining them. So it does require a lot of effort, and they can break down. It is a mechanical device that is not guaranteed to work. So we prefer gravity flow because it always works as long as the lagoon's low enough. We're here at the Pine Island Conservation Area today looking at the pump stations, and what we have is a variety of things to be able to see. In front of me here is a discharge structure that goes by gravity from the north side of Pine Island Road and goes to the south impoundment area, which is about 34 acres. To the north of us is the north impoundment area, and it is about 80 acres, so it's much larger. They're here to provide water quality treatment, but they also help us with flood control. In the background here, off in the distance, you can see the the pump house that has 3 pump engines in it, and we'll look at those here in a few minutes. There's 3 pumps located up there, 2 24-inch pumps and a 30-inch pump. And they're the ones that do the bulk of the work to try to help us with flood control. And they pump water into the impoundments, the 80-acre one and the 34-acre one. We also have up here and closer to us a portable pump that we've placed and have been running since for Hurricane Irma. And it's a 12-inch portable pump that we are using to help us right now. It's much smaller than the other 3 pumps, but it still does a lot of work. And in fact, it pumps about a normal residential swimming pool about every 3 minutes. And then right up here close to us, we've got the main discharge for gravity purposes. That structure has a flashboard riser system in it that allows us to either allow flow or to block flow, depending on what our needs are. And it has a skimmer on it, as does this one that's up here close to us, that skims off any floating material. Again, we're trying to provide for pollution treatment or removal for the discharge that comes out of the North Merritt Island area. We operate these pumps on an automated system during normal conditions, but when we know that there's a major storm coming, such as a hurricane, we'll come up and pump in advance of the hurricane as much as we can until the water gets low enough to where we can't really operate the pumps without causing damage to them. Usually the damage would come in the form of what we call cavitation, which will have a vortex that goes down from the surface of the water right down to the pump impellers and would destroy the pumps. So we have to be very careful about that. And we'll go up there and take a look at the engines, the pumps, the vortexes, and a few other items that are up there as well. So let's go take a look. In the water right near me are the 3 pumps that I talked about before. A 30-inch pump, it's a hydraulically driven pump. It's located right there, and that's the one that does the bulk of the work out of the 3. It does about equal to what the other 2, which are 24-inch pumps, do combined. And they're right behind me right here. And they are all hydraulic pumps which are driven by engines that are located inside the pump house. And those engines are diesel driven, and they provide the power to operate the hydraulic pump, which provides the pressure in the hydraulic system to drive the impellers, which pull the water into the piping system, which delivers the water to the impoundments. In addition to the pump house and the pumps that are here, we also have 2 gravity lines that go underneath the berm that separates and isolates the impoundment from the rest of North Merritt Island. Those can't really be seen very easily because they're most of the way underwater, but you can see the head wall that is there, which is just off to my left. And those have check valves on them which prevent the water from flowing back out of the impoundment back into the North Merritt Island area. Okay, we moved to the north side of the Pine Island Conservation Area pump house, which in the background you can probably see the discharge structures for the 2 24-inch pumps. One of them is obviously operating right now. The other, as I mentioned earlier, is not, because we've got a servicing issue with that pump right now. Again, we hope to have it running shortly, and at that point you'd be able to see both of the discharge structures running full of water. Behind me you can also see the fuel tank for all three of the pump engines, which require diesel fuel, and so that's one of the tasks that we have when we're operating in a flood control mode in particular, which is to assure that we keep fuel scheduled to be delivered up here. Obviously we don't want to let it get too low. Before hurricane season we make sure that we have plenty of fuel in there, and so it's all nice and fresh, and that it'll run real well with our pumps. In the background off to my right is the discharge side of the gravity portion of the pipes which come in. You can't see the pipes themselves, but again you can see, may be able to see the head wall over there, and that's where those pipes are. You may notice the turbulence in the water whenever we have these pumps running. The tarpon that are in this impoundment get pretty excited, as do some other fish, and so we get a lot of fishermen that come up here as soon as the word gets out that we're running the pumps. And so that's just a side benefit to the flood control efforts that we have. We've moved up to the discharge structure for the Pine Island, the north impoundment of the Pine Island Conservation Area, and it's in the background. As you can see, the vertical bars back there, each of those bars is a specific distance apart to prevent manatees from being able to move from the lagoon and into the impoundment. Some people laugh about this as being a possibility, and we've actually had manatees in the impoundment, so we had to install this excluder to keep them out. But below the water surface at this point there is a weir which is set up to allow water to be retained in the impoundment, but when the water gets up high enough it discharges over the weir and through a culvert, and it goes on from there on out to the lagoon. When we're running for flood control purposes, the water level builds up quite a bit above the top of the weir. During normal conditions, the water is barely above that weir. And we're standing right now on a finger that sticks out of land, that sticks out into the north impoundment, which causes the water that comes into the impoundment from either the pumps or the gravity flow part of the system to mix with the 80-acre lake and provide for good pollution control treatment and before the water discharges. And it still does that even when we're pumping for flood control purposes, but at that point we're not as interested in the pollution control as we are in the flood control. We hope that today's been time well spent for you to watch this video. We hope that you have gained an understanding or a better understanding of how the system works. We know that it doesn't work as well as we would like it to. However, it is what we have, and the land is so flat and so low-lying that it's very, very difficult to get the water to move. Most of the roads on North Merritt Island are around elevation 2 to 3, and much of the land is around elevation 1 or even lower. And so when we see improvements of 1 inch throughout the system per day, we're excited about that, because we know we're moving the water and getting it to a better location for the public, which is who we are concerned about here. So if you have questions in the future, you can contact us, and we'll be happy to try to provide answers and responses that will be helpful and informative. Thank you very much.